It's one of Disney's most beloved animated classics.
Oh dear.
And now,
Brace yourself.
it's an all-new movie, 101 Dalmatians 2, Patch's London Adventure.
I think I'm one of a kind, but just one of 101.
Patch felt lost in a sea of spots. Until he learned what it takes to become a one-of-a-kind hero.
One of a kind.
It's a one-of-a-kind movie.
It's remarkable. It's stunning. It's grand. It makes me smile a lot.
Walt Disney Pictures proudly presents 101 Dalmatians 2, Patch's London Adventure.
Patch was fantastic.
Premiering only on Disney DVD and video, February 25th.
So this is a sequel that literally follows up from the last movie, and actually takes a little bit from the live-action movie, because we actually get to see the place, the plantation that Roger and his family have essentially bought, where you have all of them packing up for the big move there, a home in the country with plenty of room for the 101 pups, and far from the clutches of Cruella de Vil. The Feisties pup is Patch, feeling lost in a sea of spots, and longs to be a one-of-a-kind wonder dog like his TV hero Thunderbolt. And while watching the Thunderbolt Adventure Hour, he hears about a chance to appear on the show while it's filming in London. However, the family moves, which interferes with Patch's opportunity until he's accidentally left behind in the commotion. So he goes to the audition to be this hero. Thunderbolt is played by Barry Bostwick, and his trusty sidekick Lightning is voiced by Jason Alexander, who reveals that the producers of the show want to replace Thunderbolt with a younger dog, and in order to save his job, Thunderbolt decides he will go into the real world and perhaps perform an act of true heroism to prove himself. A veritable reference book to Thunderbolt's many adventures, Patch provides the perfect guide for the TV star, his attempts at real-life heroics. As for Cruella de Vil, she's back and more obsessed with Dalmatians than ever. At first, she's able to calm her frenzy through an affiliation with a spot-fixated artist voiced by Martin Short. And what's so great about this movie is that it manages to stay true to the original film in terms of continuing the story after the first film without making a lot of huge glaring errors that would contradict events from the first film. I mean, the voice cast overall is very good. A lot of the voice actors do a good job of playing these roles that were played almost 40 years ago by these different actors. Like Cruella de Vil is voiced here by Susanna Blakesheet, and I swear she does a terrific job replacing the original voice actress from the original film. I can't remember her name right now, but she does a good job at handling that role in particular. The animation overall is very good. It definitely follows in the same style as the original movie. The story moves at a quick enough pace, and it's never boring. There are a couple moments where there are a few flaws here and there in terms of the story, like you can kind of figure out certain elements that are going to be thrown into the mix pretty early on, but it never takes away from the full enjoyment of the movie. It's never boring. It's a decent animated film, a lot of good points to it, very few flaws. I really liked it. Take it for what it is, and you'll enjoy it too. So let's go to another direct-to-video sequel, this time one that was completely unnecessary, and that is Charlotte's Web 2, Wilbur's Great Adventure.
Join the fun as one of the best-loved children's stories of all time continues with Charlotte's Web 2, Wilbur's Great Adventure, the movie on video and DVD.
Oh, great!
Wilbur the pig has learned all about loyalty from a very special spider called
I
Charlotte.
guess our mom really was special.
So when his new friend Cardigan, a lonely lamb, is sold to another farm,
Tell me this isn't happening.
Wilbur springs into action.
My plan is to find a plan.
With the help of Charlotte's daughters, Nellie, Arania, and Joy.
We did it!
And Templeton the rat.
You didn't think you're going to leave me behind?
The race is on to save Cardigan.
Let me show you my, how should I put this, hospitality.
With brand new songs
First of all, I'll be a friend. We'll be buds to the end.
and a farmyard full of colorful new characters.
I'm so hungry I could eat a horse.
Hey, I heard that.
Get ready for an unforgettable journey as Wilbur discovers that with courage, friendship, and love, anything is possible.
Miracles do happen.
Charlotte's Web 2, Wilbur's Great Adventure. Yours to rent and buy on video and DVD.
So this time around, this centers around Wilbur, who lives on Homer Zuckerman's farm and is taking care of Nellie, Arena, and Joy, Charlotte's three daughters, because of course she died in the last movie. He also must save his new friend, a friendly black lamb named Cardigan, from being eaten by an evil fox named Farley, because the story clearly needed a villain, because, of course, the first movie would have went so much better with a villain. Am I right? No, of course I'm not right, because that's really stupid. The first film didn't really need to do that, and I don't know what the hell this movie was trying to do, because, for one thing, it's got way too many elements to it. Like, there's like 3 different animation studios behind this. Paramount's behind this, Nickelodeon is behind this, and then Universal Studios somehow gets involved in this, and it's just like, it's a very interesting and odd collaboration, I could say. I mean, yeah, the animation can look really good, but what's the point? I mean, the first movie wrapped up very well, but this movie just feels like it's a literal cash grab. I mean, this feels like a movie that is literally there to make money because the first movie is such a classic and will always make money. And, hey, we could throw in some big names in here. Amanda Bynes is in this movie playing, the daughter to Zuckerman. I don't want to look, but I think I'm going to have to. God damn it. Nellie. So, no, that's not her. That's a Charlotte, but, then who's playing the daughter who plays the daughter in this one? I'm kind of confused here. Okay, now I see it. It's Debbie Derryberry, who, of course, is Jimmy Neutron. But got a good voice cast overall here. Julia Duffy, like I said, Charlie Adler, Amanda Bynes, Andy McCaffey, Maria Bamford, Lorraine Newman, Dawn Lewis, Brenda Vaccaro. I mean, there's a lot of notable voice actors in this movie. And I guess to the film's credit, that's something I got to give it credit for. It's got a nice cast to it, but unfortunately, there's no real movie there to really cement why this has a reason to exist, because nothing really that interesting happens here, and it just kind of feels like one of those Land Before Time sequels, except this time around it's Charlotte's Web, and it feels really, really pointless, because at least the Land Before Time has the sequels to at least continue the story and do something a little bit different, but this just feels like it's just rehashing the same thing it did before, and there's just nothing of value to it whatsoever. I mean, yeah, the animation can look nice, but you gotta have a point to it. Have a point for them. Is like Steve Martin says in Plane, Trains, and Automobiles. Here's a good idea. Have a point. It makes it so much more interesting for the listener and for the watcher too. In this case, because man, this is such a bland movie that was clearly a cash grab. Nothing of interest really comes out of it. Yeah, the animation can look really good at times, but it's just a cash grab directed video sequel, and one you should avoid easily. Just stick with the original, and you should be good to go on that front. But I digress. Let's get to some live action movies here, and one that I was surprised that was not on here was one that was pretty well known in 2003, and that is Blue Collar Comedy Tour, the movie.
The Blue Collar Comedy Tour, the tour that's been cracking up America, is finally hitting the big screen.
I had the right to remain silent, but I didn't have the ability.
Blue Collar Comedy Tour, the movie.
The movie that was pretty much everybody's introduction to the blue collar comedy guys. You know, Jeff Foxworthy, everybody kind of knew already. Nobody really knew about Bill Engvall. Nobody really knew about Ron White. Nobody really knew about Larry the Cable Guy. At least I didn't know who those guys were. I just knew that Jeff Foxworthy was in there, and kind of like the original Kings of Comedy, this series, a series of live stand-up performances done at the Phoenix Dodge Theater in Phoenix, Arizona, and also features behind-the-scenes segments highlighting the individual comedians. And for what it is, I mean, these guys can be funny. I did watch a lot of the Blue Collar Comedy Tour back in the day. In fact, when they had their show on the WB, I caught a couple of episodes, and I thought it was funny. I thought there was some stuff there that did work. I mean, I wouldn't say these guys are great comedians overall, but this movie does show that they do have potential to make you laugh, and it works on several levels. A lot of their jokes in here are very funny. It's not just Jeff Foxworthy doing the whole, you might be a redneck thing that he was famous for in the 90s. He is actually doing different things besides that in this, and it shows that, hey, Larry the Cable Guy could actually be funny when you put him in something that actually is fully of his talents, instead of trying to do those movies that came afterwards where, they're trying to make him the next big comedy star, and they give him shitty movies like Delta Force or Witness Protection or Health Inspector, which, funny story about that one when we get to that one. That's probably one of the worst original reviews I had for that one, because I said something now that would seem blasphemous, but we will get to that one in about 3 years' time, so stay tuned for that. You're going to really love what I had to say back in the day on that one. But I mean, it works. This works fine for what it is. It's certainly no original Kings of Comedy. It's not any of the Eddie Murphy movies. It's not any of the Dave Chappelle specials. But it does make me laugh, and not as much as those two, but more than I probably would have expected from a movie like the Blue Collar Comedy Tour movie. But works fine for what it is. So now, if you want a movie that has a lot of laughs, whether they're intentional or not, probably one of the great cult movies of all time, and that is Tommy Wiseau's The Room.
Of Tennessee Williams, directed by Tommy Wiseau.
So yeah, The Room had a June 27th, 2003 premiere in LA, so technically this is a 2003 leftover film. It was not released in theaters nationwide, and at the time it seemed like a good reason for it. You have a story that's set in San Francisco. It's a melodramatic love triangle between amiable banker Johnny, played by Tommy Wiseau, deceptive fiancée Lisa, played by Juliette Danielle, who clearly has no interest in Johnny whatsoever when you watch the movie, and his conflicted best friend Mark, played by Greg Sestero. The work was reportedly intended to be semi-autobiographical in nature. According to Wiseau, the title alludes to the potential of a room to be the site of both good and bad events. The stage play from which the film is derived was so named due to its events taking place in a single room. And it's been often said it's one of the worst films ever made. In fact, when the film finally was starting to gain traction later in the decade with reruns on Adult Swim, and when the Nostalgia Critic did it, I remember the Nostalgia Critic did a review for it, great review, and they tried to take it down because they didn't want people to say that the movie was funny by any. They didn't want anyone to say anything bad about the movie, but slowly but surely, they did eventually come around to it. And I think Greg Sestero's actually done some stuff with Doug Walker on Nostalgia Critic over the years since that review came out. And you can see why it's had such a following to it. I mean, they made a great movie based off of Sestero's memoir and making the film The Disaster Artist, which stars James Franco and Steph Rogen. And it's actually, I saw this right here, they're doing a remake with Bob Odenkirk in it, which is apparently made, but it's set to come out sometime soon. But, I mean, I'm just going to see for Bob Odenkirk alone. But the beautiful thing about this particular movie is that you really don't know if it's meant to be taken seriously or not. And I think because time has gone by where people have realized that, yes, this is supposed to be a comedy that wasn't intended to be a comedy. Like it's like something Ed Wood probably would have made back in the day. Like, this is a film that is so bizarre, and Tommy Wiseau's performance in this is just so bad, but it's also hilarious at the same time. Like, there's just line readings in this movie that I'd be here all day if I tried to reenact all the line readings of this movie from Tommy Wiseau. What's the story, Mark? While he's not even moving his lips, I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark. Like, what more can I say about this movie, man? This is just this is the definition of a so bad it's good guilty pleasure film. It's a film that is so ridiculous, so over the top, and so confused on what the hell they're trying to accomplish. You can't help but just have a good time with it. And yeah, I've grown to really like it over the years. It is a film that is definitely the definition of a so bad it's good movie. What more can I say? Tommy Wiseau's The Room. Chef's Kiss. That's not the Chef's Kiss. Chef's Kiss. There you go. Okay, so let's get back to the intentionally good stuff here. Let's go to Disney's Stitch the Movie.
Premiering on Disney DVD and video this summer.
You mean there are more besides Stitch?
Well, Stitch is number 626. These must be the other 625.
An all-new movie.
We've got to search the entire island for genetic experiments.
The adventure continues.
Let's rock, baby.
With Lilo and Stitch. Two heroes.
You had coffee today, didn't you?
Who'll do anything.
Nobody gets left behind.
For family. This summer, Stitch is back with his new family. Aloha, cousin. Stitch the movie.
We're all one happy family.
Who wants to slice the pineapple?
Premiering on Disney DVD and video August 26th.
Lilo and Stitch are back after breaking out in their film last year. That was one of the few Disney animated classics that actually became a box office hit around that time when Disney was kind of struggling to keep up the pace at the box office. But it's interesting because it follows the events of the first film, and by extension, the second movie that was literally marketed as Lilo and Stitch 2, Stitch Has a Glitch. But this is basically a backdoor pilot for the Lilo and Stitch series, and Disney's had a couple of these movies where they were basically pilots for these TV shows. Of course, The Return of Jafar was the first one, and then you had Tarzan and Jane last year, and we're going to get to another one just a little bit here, but the story is an introduction to Dr. Jumbo Jukiba's 625 experience made prior to Stitch that were created by the financing of Dr. Jacques von Hamsterville, and was voiced very well by Jeff Bennett, and this is just, like I said, it's basically a pilot episode for the Lilo and Stitch series, which was basically Disney's equivalent to Pokemon. And hey, I love Lilo and Stitch so much, and in fact, if you saw my Movie Stop episode this week, you know that I love Stitch so much that I actually got a puppet based off of him with real FX to it. In fact, I probably should have gotten him for this, but it's already too late in the evening to go ahead and do it, so not this time around. Maybe when we get to Lilo and Stitch 2, I'll bring him in here, but yeah, Stitch is my favorite Disney character, so naturally I'm gonna get a lot of enjoyment out of this. You know, it's basically Disney's equivalent to Pokemon, where you have Lilo and Stitch finding all these other experiments and trying to stop them from being evil, giving them jobs to do in town, and they do that in the movie, and it's just a setup for the series. And like I said, it's in the same vein of Return of Jafar. It's a pilot episode for the series, and for what it is, it's good for what it is. I mean, I like the TV show a lot, and it already knows that it's not going to be on par with Lilo and Stitch, the movie, because it knows it has to launch this new series, and this is a good beginning to the show. I like the new characters they bring into here. Like I said, Jeff Bennett is very fun and playing it over the top as the villain. Experiment 625, who loves sandwiches, has a lot of great fun moments. He's voiced by Rob Paulson. And I like how Gantu has just become this comic foil bad guy. A huge contrast to the antagonist role he had in the first movie. And again, Kevin Michael Richardson, what more can you say about that guy that hasn't already been said? But, not much more I can say about this movie. Stitch the movie does a great job of launching the series with some nice animation, a good story, great voice work all around. It's a great movie that's not intended to be as good as the first film, but it does warrant a direct-to-video sequel that's good, a direct-to-video movie that's good, and also lead into the eventual series that was actually pretty good as well. Now here's an example of a Disney movie that was intended to be the start of a series that never went anywhere, and it's the one I forgot to mention in the last was when I talked about the episodes movies we're going to cover, and that is Atlantis: Milo's Return.
Unlocking the secrets of Atlantis was just the beginning. This time, the heroes from Atlantis head for the surface. All-new full-length movie. We got company. Disney's Atlantis 2, Milo's Return. Coming soon on Disney DVD and video.
Clearly, you can tell they put a lot of effort into selling this movie. That's the only trailer that they have available, which is literally a 30-second trailer, and that's it. Like, this was originally intended to be a sequel, too. They were going to do a sequel, but they abandoned it once The Lost Empire didn't do as well as they wanted it to. And they were also going to do a TV series, and the release sequel has 3 animated shorts that were supposed to be 3 episodes of said series, and of course, that never went anywhere. And you have most of this voice cast returning from the movie, from the original movie, like Cree Summers back, Corey Burton, Don Novello, Phil Norris, Jacqueline Oberdors, John Mahoney, Florence Stanley. They're all back with the 2 main characters being replaced, of course being Milo, played by James Arnold Taylor, and also Steve Barr, replacing Jim Varney, who died before the first film finished production. And this was also Florence Stanley's last film before she died after production ended. And really, this is nothing but 3 episodes from a series that never went to air, and Disney said, fucking Atlantis is popular with some people at this point. We can make a quick cash grab off of this, so let's just say this is the follow-up to Atlantis: The Lost Empire. And, you know, back then, it seemed kind of pointless because Atlantis didn't do as well as they wanted it to. I mean, nowadays, it's become well known that it's had a big following since that movie's come out, and it's become more loved as time has gone on. But back then, it didn't really seem like there was a purpose to actually putting this out there, and that's really the biggest downfall of it. There's not a whole lot of effort being put into this movie. There's some good creative ideas here and there on how to expand the story, but the animation is very junky at times compared to the original movie. And even for a TV series from Disney, you expect so much better from this, but there are some interesting stories being told here, and I think if Disney would have given the show the green light and let us see more of this Atlantis universe being expanded, they probably could have made up for how underwhelming the original movie was, but this isn't just a cash grab and a disappointing one, since there are creative ideas in there, and they could have made for something great, but this is just pretty much a 3 episodes of a rejected Disney TV series movie, like Tarzan and Jane, and even Belle's Magical World. Probably the best of those 3, but then again, that isn't really saying a whole lot, So let's get to the last Disney movie here, and let's get back on a positive note here. Kim Possible, A Sitch in Time.
What's the sitch, Wade?
For the first time ever on DVD, everyone's favorite cheerleader is going big time with her first full-length movie. Disney's Kim Possible, A Sitch in Time. When Kim's greatest foes steal an ancient time machine.
The Time Monkey.
The timber similar idol purporting to have dark mystical powers.
Kim, Ron, and Rufus will have to team up with themselves.
Kim Possible ×2!
Anybody want to explain any of this to me? I'm you, from the future.
To change the past, or else their future is history.
Impossible?
Rufus?
The fate of the future, humanity, and the planet Earth itself rests in your hands.
But no pressure.
The sitch is just heating up in the only movie you so don't want to miss.
Buckle up, boys. The hurt is on.
Welcome to the future, big sis.
The tweeds?
It's Disney's Kim Possible, A Sitch in Time.
Hey, look, I've got one foot in the future.
Own the DVD packed with hot new music and cool bonus features today.
Hurricane rocks!
Naturally.
Also available, Kim Possible, The Secret Files on DVD. Kim Possible.
There's definitely a lot of movies around this time with a similar concept to this. I mean, the two Fairly Odd Parents movies were kind of sandwiched in between this movie. Had kind of a similar feel to this particular film. The storyline here is that Kim and Ron start out a new school year only to find out that Ron's family is moving to Norway. They put us straight on their partnership just as Dr. Draken, Monkey Fist, and Duff Killigan team up to find and use an ancient time travel device to rule the world. Attacking Kim in the past, present, and future, can these villains succeed, or will an unforeseen force become more destructive? And it follows into the chaos that you would expect from a show like this. And Kim Possible, I never really talk about it on this channel, but I used to love watching this show as a kid. I mean, it was a very funny show, great voice cast all around here, and this film has a lot of big voice talent in here, too. I mean, you know, the show already has Christy Carlson Romano, Will Friedle, Nancy Cartwright, Taj Mowry, Nicole Sullivan, John DiMaggio, Tom Kane, Brian George, you know, Gary Cole, Gene Smart, Sean Fleming, Raven Simone, Kirsten Storms, and that's just the main cast alone. But then they bring in these big names for this movie, like Dakota Fanning is like a preschool version of Kim. Michael Dorn is playing Rufus in the future, as you saw in that trailer. You got Michael Clark Duncan as future Wade. Kelly Ripa's playing future Bonnie. Vivica A. Fox as future Monique. And Freddie Prinze Jr. is both the future Jim and Tim, Kim's brothers. And it's just... they really went all out on this movie. Even though it was a Disney Channel original film originally, they really went all out on this. And you know what? It made for a really fun movie. I remember watching it a lot back when I used to watch Disney Channel a lot. And it's about as good as you expect it to be. It's a fun movie. It's fun to see these characters in a big adventure like this. Not the last time they'd be in a big adventure, because a couple years later they would have the series finale movie, or what was intended to be the finale movie, before they eventually renewed the show again. But I mean, I don't talk about it enough. Kim Possible was a really damn good show back in the day. And this movie is a perfect example of why the show works as well as it does. It's very funny, very action-packed, great animation overall. It's a really good movie, man. So let's go ahead and wrap this up on a sour note. Why don't we do that to wrap this week up? The 5th installment of the Beethoven series, and that is Beethoven's Fifth.
America's most beloved Saint Bernard is back in Beethoven's Fifth.
Most people would have just said hello.
Embark
on an all-new action-filled adventure with secrets, ghosts, and hidden treasure that only Beethoven can find.
What is it, boy?
It's the doggone tale that Beethoven fans have been begging for.
Thank you.
This holiday season, sit, roll over, and enjoy the ride. Featuring Dave Thomas, John Larroquette, Kathy Griffin, and Faith Ford.
I'd be happy to give you a tune-up anytime. I mean, your car.
Yeah, this was them literally scratching for something left from this franchise. And like I said, I've liked Beethoven as a character, but man, these direct-to-video movies just really, every one of them just kills me. Like, this is the 5th and final installment of the original series, because they would later rebrand this with Beethoven's Big Break just a couple years later. And slightly better, but not by that much. So you have Sarah Newton, played here by Daveigh Chase, and Beethoven. They're spending the summer with Sam's Uncle Freddie, played by Dave Thomas, in an old mining town. The mischievous Beethoven digs up a clue to the whereabouts of the legendary hidden fortune of 2 bank robbers named Mo and Rita Selig. Now everyone wants to be their best friend as his discovery unleashes a frenzy of treasure hunting amid the community's creatures. With help from Uncle Freddie and a boy named Garrett, Sarah and Beethoven try to help uncover a secret that has been in this crazy little town for years, but he shoots dead the ghost and is declared a hero. And you see John Larroquette and Faith Ford in there. This is pretty much as bad as it looks. I mean, the other Beethoven movies were at least trying to do something different. Even Beethoven's 4th with the whole Prince and the Pauper thing. It's something we've seen done before, but they at least were trying. This is about as generic and dull as that trailer makes it out to be. Everybody in this movie acts stupid. You expect so much more from people like Dave Thomas and John Larroquette and even Daveigh Chase, who was still a top actress at the time. She was in The Ring, she was in Lilo and Stitch, but it's just kind of wasted in there. And you're basically just watching these well-known actors work with Beethoven for an hour and a half with the thread of a story that's about as predictable as cliched riddle as you can get. It just does not work. And this is easily the worst one of the series. Out of all the Beethoven movies out there, this is the bottom of the barrel. And this is the one I would say avoid it like the plague, because, I mean, it gets better as we move along, but not by that much. But we'll get to that when we get to 2008. But that's Beethoven's 5th for you. Just avoid it like the plague.
Now, this is the art of slap boxing, a time out of good tradition, all right? Come on, put your hands up. Come on, all right, right there.
In the city of brotherly love, Lonnie and his friends were living large.
Take a look around. We got the tight bachelor pad.
They were 3 major players.
My bad. Looks like you're gonna have to come out in clothes.
Goodbye, Lonnie.
Big-time lovers.
I'm up here now. I'm up here.
With the hottest ladies in town.
Yes, you do.
But tonight, they're going from players
We're pregnant.
to play time.
What the hell? Peanut, Audrey,
From Miramax Films comes the story about 3 big babies taking care of 3 little babies.
When you get old, all the little black girls in the neighborhood will be, oh, Bruce Leroy, you got good hair. You got Indian in your family.
Eddie Griffin.
How you doing, Tupac?
I'm not watching DVD.
No, thank you.
You always broke. Hey!
Anthony Anderson.
Man, what's the problem with you, man? Or something?
Michael Imperioli.
Oh, we got the Exorcist, baby.
And Method Man.
Want a grilled cheese sandwich, man? No, I'm cool.
Piss her phone. Do it down.
This is fucking horrible, and I'm sorry for swearing like that, but I'm sorry. This is a horrible, horrible movie. I mean, just that alone, like that scene alone, was enough to make me turn the movie off altogether. And that's just from the trailer. Like, there's stuff in that entire trailer in there. It's just like, you know, like, just why? Why is this movie a thing? The story, as you see, is Anthony Anderson, Eddie Griffith, and Michael Imperioli are 3 bachelor buddies from the hood who, after a lifetime of hard partying, are in for a crude awakening when their respective girlfriends all get pregnant at the same time. The fathers-to-be embark on an emotional journey while learning as much about themselves as they do about love and fatherhood. And this is basically just 3 Men and a Baby, except done worse. Much worse. And more crude jokes, more poop jokes in here, more gross out humor, more pee jokes, racial stereotyping. This whole movie, it's amazing that this movie does not get more attention. It's one of the worst things you've ever seen, because this should be up there with movies like Soul Plane. This is a movie that is so horribly put together, so badly put together. The jokes are terrible. This cast is way too good to be involved in a terrible film like this. I mean, like, you can't even buy that these three guys are friends. Like, Michael Imperioli has no reason to be hanging out with Eddie Griffin and Anthony Anderson. They don't even try to hide the fact of that. Method Man's here because, I don't know, you got Paula J. Parker from the Proud Family, and also from Friday, Biling. Amy Sedaris is also in here. Bobby J. Thompson, who plays little Tupac. Tiny Lister is in here. John Amos. Like, a great cast overall here, but just a missed opportunity on so many levels, because there's no script here. There's not a script that actually makes sense. There's just not a script in here that's funny. Not a script in here that's clever. There's nothing emotionally significant about the film. This is the type of movie that the studio looks at, thinks they have a winner because they've got all these names in here, and they don't need a script to make it work. And lo and behold, the film flops big time. Actually, this thing didn't even flop. It made back its budget of a very small budget of $12 million by about $6.5 million. It made back its budget, but even then, like, do you think anybody at Miramax was really proud of this movie? There's a reason why they put this out in the beginning of January, because they knew it was terrible. They wanted to get it out of there immediately, and sure enough, it came and went, and it's one of the worst peak comedies I've ever seen in my life. And trust me, there's a lot of bad comedies, and this is definitely up there. And one that should be talked about more is one of the worst comedies ever made, plain and simple. So, can we buck the trend with the last film we have here? Mandy Moore starring as the president's daughter in Chasing Liberty.
Dad is the leader of the free world.
When I get to Prague, I will fulfill all my diplomatic obligations.
Life is all work and no play.
I've been smiling so much I keep your sunburn.
This year,
Don't I deserve one night of freedom?
Glory's on your wall.
Anna Foster is about to declare her independence.
Why can't Anna just do what I tell her to do like the British?
Mandy Moore, Chasing Liberty.
I want to find passion.
Sorry about that, we're just dancing for passion.
Rated PG-13.
I mean, not really, but you know what? After My Baby's Daddy, this is actually looking like a good comedy by comparison. This is Chasing Liberty, which is coincidentally the first of two movies in 2004 centering around the president's daughter, because we would literally have a movie called First Daughter come out later in the year where Batman was the president, Michael Keaton, and Katie Holmes was the first daughter. And in here you've got Mandy Moore and Mark Harmon, a.k.a. Gibbs from NCIS, who was also in Fever Pitch. And in here you have the 18-year-old daughter of the President of the United States, whose rebellion against the constant presence of Secret Service agents in her life leads to a European adventure and an unexpected romance. And you can definitely tell that they're doing a lot of stuff from classic movies. This was the storyline's actually inspired by Chelsea Clinton, who was photographed trying to blend in with other students at a Stanford basketball game. And this has actually been explored in another movie, kind of an underrated little film called First Family, that came out in 1980, where Bob Newhart was the president. And there's the idea that, you know, the problems that Mandy Moore's character has in the movie is excessively protective Secret Service agents guarding children out of U.S. government officials, pretty much. That was pretty much established in First Family, which is a little underrated gem. It's one that didn't do so well when it came out, but it's got a stacked cast overall, and it is a funny film in general. But you can definitely see the inspiration is from stuff like It Happened One Night, and especially Roman Holiday, where in that film Audrey Hepburn plays a princess who slips away from the handlers to be squired around Rome by Gregory Peck, and not realizing that he knows her identity and plans a magazine story. And in both films, the leads are accompanied by a goofy friend. In this case, he's played by Eddie Albert in Roman Holiday, and in this one, it's, I believe, Stark Sands, I think it is, but it's got a good cast overall, too. Matthew Goods also is the Secret Service agent in this film. Stark Sands is the guy who isn't, I guess, the goofy friend. Jeremy Piven, Annabelle Sciorra, Mark Harmon, like I said, Caroline Goodall, Muriel Margolyes. So there is a good cast overall in here. The film is just mediocre at best. I mean, I like it better than How to Deal. I thought this was a much better. It's a simple idea that isn't really thought out all that well, And I think one of the biggest problems with the film in general is that it's very formulaic and predictable. I mean, it's a film that could possibly work. I mean, Mandy Moore is giving it her all in this, and there is a good idea if you're doing kind of a modern retelling of these classic movies, like It Happened One Night and Roman Holiday, but I think with a better writer and director, they really could fully experience the potential that the story could have. But as it is, with the director of Leave It to Beaver, not a very good sign. The movie just kind of feels like a film that has some golden opportunities, but never really takes full advantage of it. And it's a shame, because the pieces are definitely there for something intriguing here, and it's just a shame that there isn't a really good script, a really good script from a good writer and a good director to really cement this as a film that could actually validate some good times with it. But it just doesn't really work out as well as I think they wanted it to. But like I said, it's better than Mandy Moore's last movie, and it does show that what she can do as an actress. And I think later on in the year, when we get to say it, that'll really show her true potential as a leading actress. So we'll get to that one. Not even a leading actress, but a supporting act, but an actress in general, and how good she can really be. But we'll get to that one when we get to May. But as far as this one goes, it's fine. Not something. It's for a one-time watch, it works, but I really have no intention of ever watching this again. So, like I said, it's better than My Baby's Daddy. I'll give it that. Chasing Liberty.
Calculated the odds.
Oh, whoa, whoa. What? You don't eat mixed nuts at a bar. Only 1 out of every 6 people wash their hands when they go to the bathroom.
He's analyzed the risks.
Base jumping.
It's one of the most dangerous activities a human being can do.
Have you done it?
But on January 16th, the most cautious man on Earth will experience something he's never felt before. Along Came Polly, rated PG-13.
Yeah, on paper, Along Came Polly doesn't seem like a weird movie, but when you actually watch the film itself, you can start to pick out how odd and bizarre this movie really is, because this is a film that is a trip. It's a trip, alright, but in the film, you see Ben Stiller playing Reuben Pfeiffer, who's a tightly wound New Yorker who finds his life falling apart when he discovers that his wife is cheating on him with a scuba diver on their honeymoon. He then rebounds and finds himself falling in love with his former classmate, played by Jennifer Aniston, as she tries to loosen up his rigid ways, which brings him to question his life and sane decisions, and that you can't analyze the safe choice in love all the time. And the whole movie just feels really weird, because it feels so bizarrely out of place for everybody involved. Like Ben Stiller and Jennifer Aniston, you can buy them as a couple. I mean, you could definitely believe them in a romantic comedy, but it's everything else that just seems really weird. Probably the biggest example of the weirdness in this is Philip Seymour Hoffman, who plays Ben Stiller's friend in this, Sandy. And it's hard not to look at this character in the movie and think to yourself, why this is so weird, because this is a role that was clearly meant for Jack Black. And Jack Black was slowly but surely building his career at the time, with the success of School of Rock coming out, and, you know, it became a big hit for him and turned him into a superstar. And it wouldn't surprise me if Black had looked at this role and played the role right after, as his career was taking off, and he passed off it. But don't worry, Ben Stiller and Jack Black would later reunite for Envy, which is a much better film, even weirder than this film. Some might say just as weird as this film, but that film has definitely, Envy has definitely held up much better than I think Along Came Polly has. But the comedy here is also really lazy too, and it's just the crux of the comedy is gross out humor. Not even good gross out humor, like lazy gross out humor. Like you see it in the trailer there. You know, the part where Stiller gets Seymour Hoffman's sweaty self all over him during the basketball game. The poop jokes are terrible. The trailer, you know, there are moments in there that seem weird but could work, like the whole thing about the ferret that can't see. Like, okay, that's kind of funny and amusing to see, but other than that, though, it's just slapstick jokes. Not even good slapstick jokes in general. It's just, if those are the real highlights of the movie from the trailer that you need to showcase in there, then you really don't have anything to sell the movie in general. The whole movie is just so bizarrely put together. I didn't even mention Alec Baldwin. You even saw in that trailer there how weird his character is in this movie. Like, that's something that probably would not fly today by any means necessary, but this movie should not be as weird and bizarre as it is, but for a comedy that looks pretty standard, when you delve into the strangeness of this movie, how the actors came together, how the movie just plays out, you really do need to experience this movie for yourself to see the decisions that this movie made, because, my God, this is a bizarre film. I can't even really say it's a bad film or a good film, but it's one of those fascinating failures we get every once in a while. You get something like A Cool World, where this is a movie that should be terrible, but there's just something fascinating about how ridiculous and stupid this whole thing is. that you just have to give it a chance and see. You're probably not going to have any real reaction to it when it's all said and done. You're just going to be like, I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it, but I'm kind of glad I saw it. That's how I feel about Along Came Polly. This is a film that is just so bizarre. It's really one of those movies that you're really going to have a hard time deciding whether you're going to like it or not. And, yeah, I still don't know if I really like it or not, quite honestly. But, so yeah, that's Along Came Polly. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, which is Torque.
From the producer of The Fast and the Furious, CLIPLESS, Too Fast, Too Furious, and SWAT.
You're messing with my good nature. You're in my way.
Torque, rated PG-13, starts Friday, January 16th.
Just when you thought Biker Boys was bad enough, here's another Fast and Furious clone, and made by the same people who made The Fast and the Furious, and apparently they're self-hating because there's a lot of negativity against The Fast and the Furious in this movie. It's like the producer of this movie hated making the Fast and Furious movies and thought, you know what, I'm going to add my negative opinions on those movies in this. And somehow it makes the movie even worse than it has any right to be, because this is The Fast and the Furious done horribly wrong. You have a biker, played by Martin Henderson from The Ring, and how he discovers some motorcycles filled with crystal meth. He stows them away, but it turns out this villainous gangster, played by Matt Schultz, has plans to recover the drugs, and James Frain's Ford for the murder of Junior, Frederick Starr, the brother of Trey, played by Ice Cube, who heads the Reapers. A notoriously malicious biker gang, Ford goes on the run and attempt to clear his name, while the FBI and multiple groups of motorcycle-mounted marauders chase after him. And God, this movie is a mess. I mean, this is a film that's so badly paced. The action in here is not that great. There are scenes in this movie that are so stupid and put together, and you could just tell that this whole movie has stuff in here that would never happen in real life. Like, there's a scene where they go have a motorcycle race in the middle of the desert, and you have all these people who are like Fast and Furious extras out in the desert barbecuing. Like, why would you go all the way out to the desert for that? Like, and who's barbecuing during the daytime in the desert? Like, can you imagine how hot it was that day when they decided to do this? But it gets even stupider from there, because there's bad dialogue in here. The action sequences are so over the top and ridiculous. There's too many TNA moments. Like, there's a scene where a woman is walking around the city, and then these motorcycles go through, and they're apparently so fast that they can blow this woman's sundress all the way up, and she's wearing like skipping lingerie. It's just like, you're a hooker at this point. Like you could pretend like you're doing that because you feel like you should, if you're not a prostitute or anything like that. That woman was going out to do some shady shit. I'm sorry. It's just like this movie is so poorly put together that, like, Biker Boys. But here's the thing with Biker Boys was just bad for its own reasons. It was a film that was so blandly put together. Obviously was trying to knock out Fast and the Furious, but the beautiful thing about Torque is that it's beautifully horrible. Like, this is the definition of a so bad it's good type of movie. You look at this movie and you're just like, oh my god, what the hell were they thinking when they made this? And, like, you can tell that nobody in this movie gave a crap about what they were trying to do in terms of telling a story. They just wanted you to have a good time for how silly it is. They put it on in January, for God's sake. I mean, it should tell you right there how they feel about this movie. This is a bad film, but it's a so bad it's good type of film. It's the type of film that you look at and you think to yourself, wow, this is the perfect definition of a guilty pleasure film, because it is such a mess on the direction, the writing, the storytelling, the acting, the action sequences, everything, the sense in this movie. It just doesn't work here at all, and I love it for that. I love how stupid this movie is, and I gotta give it credit for being as stupid as it is. What more can I say, man? Torque is one of those guilty pleasure films. It's a terrible film, but I love every single moment of it. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get to some good movies for once. Films that actually are worth it. Such as this first movie we have here, a rare Disney January release. So obviously the movie must be bad, right? Let's see what Teacher's Pet.
It's one of the most beloved animated classics of all time.
I wish I was a boy.
Is that you, dear Blue Fairy?
But that's another movie.
Ow!
Oh, you're hurting me, dear blue fairy.
How many times I gotta tell you, dog breath, I ain't no fairy!
Coming only to theaters.
Is it really you?
In the fair!
Disney's Teacher's Pet.
World, here I come! I gotta be a boy!
The musical tale of a dreamer.
In with the dream again. It's not enough you dress up like a boy and go to that cockamamie school every day!
Who was so over being Rover.
Be a good doggy.
This really stinks.
You should smell it from down here.
Until one day,
Dr. Ivan Crank claims he can turn animals into dumb human beings. Just like you! It's my dream come true.
now he's taking a chance.
I gotta meet that man.
And unleashing the power of his inner boy.
Spot!
Who's that?
He looked a lot shorter on TV. Maybe it's the axe.
I shall make you a boy.
Oh, that is just wrong on so many levels. A boy needs a dog. He's a boy. He's a dog. He's a boy. He's a dog. He's a boy. He's a dog. Boy, dog, boy, 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 dog.
Coming only to theaters. Disney's Teacher's Pet.
He's good.
I wish I had a nickel for every time I've heard that.
And nobody went to go see it. I mean, Disney putting out a movie in the month of January. Disney does not usually do that. Disney usually believes in their movies, and the last one that they did that opened in January was That Darn Cat in '97, but also Snow Dogs came out in 2002. But Snow Dogs was more successful. That Darn Cat, not so much. But yeah, remember the original Teacher's Pet animated series? Yeah, you probably didn't. I didn't even remember the series because it never came here when it never came here when ABC had One Saturday Morning. We would always get like the 2-hour truncated versions that were basically just like Recess, Pepper Ann. I don't think we ever got Doug. I think the Proud Family was on at the time. Like, we didn't get the full ABC slate because the ABC affiliate around here, WJE, trimmed down the Saturday morning lineup back in the 90s, and we didn't get the full Saturday morning era that people got whenever you think about Disney's One Saturday Morning. But yeah, I had no idea this was actually a TV series until when I first saw the trailers for this. And it's funny because this was actually based off of a short from the Kablam series called, I think, Jimmy the Wonder Boy. But this was originally a Kablam short, which was on Nickelodeon, and eventually became something that went to Disney. And apparently it was successful enough to make a movie out of it because the thing came out 2 years after the show ended. I guess that Toon Disney audience had found its way towards it, and I guess it was popular enough for Disney to say, let's put some money into it and make a movie out of it. I mean, the plot is pretty simple. You have a dog dreaming of becoming a boy one day, so much so that he dresses up like a boy and goes to the same school that his owner and his mother attend. Leonard is the owner, played by Sean Fleming. Spot is played by Nathan Lane. And he's the only one that knows that he's doing this. And the series is essentially the misadventures of those characters going through various adventures. But you have the movie here, and that's basically the continuation of that. And it's serving pretty much as the final episode because, Leonard and his mother are going down to Florida for this finals that his mother's in. But they need to leave Spot behind. And unknowing to Mrs. Helperman, Spot has been masquerading as a boy. Scott had been a star pupil. Spot wants nothing more than to be a real boy. And he sees a way to do it with this mad scientist played by Kelsey Grammer, who appears on this Jerry Springer-esque show. The host played by Jay Thomas. And Crank thinks he can turn animals into humans conveniently. The lab is right down the street where the Helpermans are staying, and so Spot asks Scott and the rest of the family convince Mary Lou to take him along. Spot becomes a man, but discovers it's not everything that he dreamed of after all. And that's the big thing about this movie, because the whole thing is that he wants to be a boy, but unfortunately, because in dog years, he's actually aged more, so he's basically a man. And it's a really damn good movie. Even if you've never seen the television series, you can find a lot to admire about this movie. I mean, this is actually a pretty damn good movie. There's so much to admire about the film. The animation, I think, gets a gigantic upgrade. The original TV animation didn't look too bad, but you could tell the animation here is much more smoother, more vibrant, more colorful, has more mobility to it than the TV series did. The music overall is really good as well. There's a ton of catchy songs in this film. The comedy is really solid. The jokes are very good. They do a lot of homages and parodies of classic Disney movies. a good voice cast. Nathan Lane's perfectly cast as Spot. Sean Fleming works as Leonard. Kelsey Grammer's the bad guy. Like I said, Jay Thomas, Jerry Stiller, and David Ogden Stiers. Deborah Jo Rupp, Estelle Harris, Wallace Shawn, Paul Rubens, Megan Mullally. But the best aspect I found about it was the overall story and the element of surprise that it brought to it. The main focus of the show was for Spot to finally become a human boy. And he does, but not in the way you think. And I like it. I like how they explain it. It does kind of go on a little bit, but it does have a nice climax at the end to it that kind of evens it out in the end. So the unfortunate thing is that the film, I could see why the film bombed at the box office, and it failed miserably, bringing back only $6.5 million off of a $10 million budget. And a couple reasons. One, 2004. We talked about it before. 2D animation was pretty much dying out of the box office at the time, and 3D animation was taking over. So Teacher's Pet ended up being one of those box office casualties. And I said before, the series never really gained that much of a following that many of the other Disney animated shows did. Like the Recess movie. Recess was a popular show, and it made sense to make a movie off of that. Doug was a successful show, not just on Disney, but Nickelodeon. It made sense to make a movie off of that. You can make the argument that Teacher's Pet is the first animated movie based off of a property that didn't have a big following to it. Another example of that would be the Shaun the Sheep movies, which are great. Those films are great as well. I think those are much better than this, but lastly, it didn't help that the movie opened up in mid-January, and like I said before, most family films don't do well at all in January, and it felt like Disney was dumping it out because they knew it wasn't going to make any money, and it's a shame because the film really is good, and it certainly kicked the crap out of the movie that Disney was so proud of, Home on the Range, and we'll get to that one later on, because that's the film that literally killed Disney animation for a bit there, but this, I love this movie. It's got the laughs, it's got the great animation, great music, great story. Everything about it just works. It's a film that, even if you've never seen the TV show, you still can find so much to admire about this movie. It's a great film. I can't recommend it enough. Seek this one out if you can find it. It should be on Disney Plus. I think it is, but if you can find a DVD version of it, I'd highly recommend checking it out because it is indeed worth the watch. So that's Teacher's Pet. Let's go ahead and move to last film, which is another underrated animated film that came out in, I guess this is the American release of this, Tokyo Godfathers.
This bundle of joy is a Christmas present sent from God. She's our baby now.
So this is the film that's directed by Satoshi Kon, who gave us Perfect Blue and Paprika. And the story here is that you have three homeless people on Christmas Eve, a middle-aged alcoholic named Jin, a transgender woman named Hannah, and a dependent teenage runaway named Miyoku, who discover an abandoned newborn while searching through the garbage for presents. On the baby is a note asking the finder to take good care of her and a key, leading to a bag with clues to the parents' identities. And so the trio set out to find the parents. Hannah names the baby Kyoko, based off the Japanese translation of Silent Night, literally meaning pure child. And they come across these crazy adventures. They end up encountering a Yakuza boss, and just chaos ensues from there. And this is a really, really damn good movie. I was really taken by this. The first time I heard about it was when the Nostalgia Critic talked about it with one of his underrated Christmas movies, and I'm glad I got to see it because it is definitely really good. And it's a film that, unlike the other films this director has done, it's grounded more in realism, and it basically involves devices that are not straightforward, and it's a twisted, sentimental story, and it's a movie that really works because it's a film that could easily... This is something that could possibly work in live action. Like, I always talk about how animation is kicking the ever-loving crap out of live action, but this movie is definitely one that could easily be a live action film, and I think could work very well if you got the right people involved with it, and you didn't change the tone of it. But it is a really heartfelt film. It's nicely animated. You do really get behind these characters, and you want them to find the parents of this kid. And it's a really engaging storyline. It delivers everything you can ask for and then some. It really is an underrated little gem. I was so glad to find it a couple years ago, and I'm glad that I got a chance to see it. I check it out every Christmas, every once in a while. It's a film I really do recommend checking out. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. Tokyo Godfathers. Seek it out. You will not be disappointed by it by any means.
Remember when you said those blackouts? Some of those memories have been coming back to me.
Evan Treborn has crossed the line between past and present.
I think twice about what you're doing.
Now, our future.
Every time I go back in time, everything goes wrong.
Hangs in the balance.
Oh my God, what did we do?
Ashton Kutcher, Amy Smart,
You can't play God.
The Butterfly Effect, rated R, coming soon.
Probably should have taken the advice of Randy from My Name is Earl and just not do this. But, interesting idea overall here. Ashton Kutcher stars as a 20-year-old college student who experiences blackouts and memory loss throughout his childhood, and later in his 20s, he finds that he can travel back in time to inhabit his former self during those periods of blackout. With his adult mind inhabiting his younger body, he attempts to change the present by changing his past behaviors and set things right for himself and his friends, but there are unintended consequences for all. The film draws heavily on flashbacks of the characters' lives at age 7 and 13, and presents several alternative present-day outcomes, even as Evan attempts to change the past before settling on a final outcome. So there's a little bit of a mix between Groundhog Day, H.G. Wells' The Time Machine, as well as a little bit of a precursor to Edge of Tomorrow. I mean, Edge of Tomorrow kind of has a similar concept where Tom Cruise always wakes up in the same body and gets killed every single time in order for him to put together the right outcome in the whole situation. And you can say that this definitely had a lot of precursing to that, even though that was based on a graphic novel. And this is supposedly an original concept. There's definitely a lot of good things about the movie in general. I think it gives a chance for Ashton Kutcher to show that what he can do as a leading actor. I think he's very good in the film. The concept is very good too. The execution, though, I think really is the downfall of it. I think the film is just not written all that well. There isn't really a major conflict. The conflict really should be more interesting than it actually is here, but it just never really lives up to that level of promise that the premise has for it. There's definitely a lot of promise to it. There's a lot of cool ideas in here in general. There's times in here, though, where it doesn't really deliver on those promises that it could easily have. I mean, there's a lot of things in here that they could have made interesting, made engaging, but they never take it to that second level to make it a film that should be seen. It should be seen as something much more than it actually is. It just feels like a film that has a lot of good potential to it, but just can't really get to that second level to really prove its existence by showing off what it can really do and surprising people at how great it actually is. Unfortunately, I can't really say that. I like the acting in here overall. I like some of the visuals. I like the ideas. The story overall is good. Just the execution just really backfires me from saying anything more that's positive about it. It just feels like a film that has so much more potential to it and just never really lives up to it, unfortunately. But it was a big hit when it came out. Continuing to show that Ashton Kutcher's star power was rising, and it made almost $100 million off of a $13 million budget. So naturally, New Line's going to franchise the hell out of this with direct-to-video sequels, which makes this a lot better than those sequels are. But then again, it's direct-to-video, so we're not really expecting a whole lot there either. But good ideas overall, just not the right execution in general. It just really hurts the film in the long run because there's potential there. It just doesn't live up to it, unfortunately. And so not only was Kelso in a movie this weekend that we're going to take a look at, so was Eric. We've got That 70s Show type of weekend here, as we've got Topher Grace and Kate Bosworth and Josh Duhamel in Win a Date with Tad Hamilton.
Oh my God. Win a date with Tad Hamilton.
Can I give you a kiss goodbye?
He's so fantastic.
Hi, I'm Tad.
Get a load of me, get a load, it's just like we were meant to be.
Rosie, I love you. I love Rosie.
You gotta win her back.
Kate Bosworth, Topher Grace, Josh Duhamel.
Let's do this.
You work out?
No.
Win a Date with Tad Hamilton. Rated PG-13. Sneak preview this weekend.
The film that basically Robert Luketic said, I did Legally Blonde, I'm not going to do Legally Blonde 2. I'm going to go ahead and do this film, which maybe it would have been better off. Maybe this would have been better off if he'd done Legally Blonde 2, because this movie isn't quite as good. I mean, it's in January, so you got a sense of why this is in January, but you have a story here that's very formulaic. Kate Bosworth plays a small-town girl who wins a contest for a date with a male celebrity, played by Josh Duhamel, who of course was on Las Vegas at the time this show was coming on, and a love triangle forms between the girl, the star, and the girl's best friend, played by Topher Grace. Jennifer Goodwin's also in here, as is Sean Hayes, Nathan Lane, Gary Cole, and there's a lot, kind of like with the Butterfly Effect, there's some possibilities here of how this could work, but it really doesn't live up to the potential that it really has here. It just comes off as kind of a generic romantic comedy. Like, you know who she's going to end up with at the end. You know there's going to be some conflicts going on throughout this. And it never really transpires into that movie that you think it should be, especially with the talent that they have on here. I mean, there's a lot of good people involved in this movie. And the guy who's supposed to be the likable guy, you don't really like him all that much. Topher Grace is supposed to be the small-town good guy that's supposed to get behind Kate Bosworth, when you feel more sympathy for Josh Duhamel's character, who's supposed to be the bad boy because he's the big celebrity. But no, you feel more for him than you do with Topher Grace, and that's not a good thing whatsoever. And that really hurts the film in the long run, and it's a shame, because the potential is there for something sweet and romantic, but it just doesn't know how to make this any different than a typical rom-com. And that's where it really hurts in the long run, because the possibilities are definitely there. The execution just not there as much to save it. It's just a movie that is just so misguided in so many different ways. There's so much possibilities of what they could do here, and they never really fully live up to it. It's a shame, because the possibilities are there, just bad execution all around. So yeah, not much more to say about that one. That's Win a Date with Tad Hamilton. Yeah, for those of you out there that don't remember the South Park episode called F'd in the A, that's what this was basically parodying, and no one ever heard of this movie ever again after that. I mean, just think about it. This past January was the 20th anniversary of this movie. Did you hear any anniversaries for this particular film? No, because it immediately was forgotten as soon as it came out. Then again, you open up on Super Bowl weekend where there's no competition whatsoever, and obviously people are going to come to this, which is a shame, because there's nothing about this movie that's valuable to it. You have the story here following a group of dancers who take part in a street dancing competition. That's literally all the movie is, and it's one of those movies that was coming around the time of like 8 Mile, Honey, Step Up, of course, was the much bigger success out of all these, but this was a surprise hit that nobody really saw coming, and it only cost them $8 million, and it made over $15 million worldwide. And it's amazing how there was only just one sequel to this that was a direct-to-video sequel, and it just pretty much tells you everything you need to know about the longevity of this movie, and that this film did not have any longevity to it. In fact, it was, like I said, it was largely forgotten right from the get-go, because it is a product of its time, and it's a film that has not held up well at all. Like, at least with some other movies, some other dance movies, like Flashdance and Footloose are perfect examples of dance movies that still hold up. Dirty Dancing has held up more than a movie like You've Got Served did. Like this, and also Honey. But, I mean, Step Up, I think it was the much bigger success out of all of these dance films that were coming out at the time. And this was just one that was just kind of like, it was for the zeitgeist of the time. There was literally nothing else out there, so where are you going to take your girlfriend to on a Friday night? Take her to this movie, and you'll probably never see it again afterwards. I'm telling you, nobody remembers this movie after 2004. I mean, really, like, can you think of anybody that has had an anniversary dedicated to this, or is there any real legitimate fans to this? I don't think this has even been released on Blu-ray. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I'm just thinking now because I don't really remember anybody talking about this after 2004. But like I said, that South Park episode I was talking about, this was the inspiration for it. So yeah, it's not really that great of a film. If you want my review for it, I don't think I even said what I thought about the film. But it's nothing special. It's nothing really that amazing. I mean, the dance sequences are okay, I guess. But like I said, Step Up, I think, has perfected that to a T, where people will go to those movies, even as ridiculous as those movies get at times. Those are still more fun movies than I would say something like this. But that's just me, though. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is The Perfect Score.
This is Desmond. He's got the moves. He's got the skills. He's got the dream. But if he doesn't pass the test,
I gotta read about it in USA Today.
he doesn't have a shot.
I see these are the answers to the SAT. I'll do it.
Sounds exciting.
Go, 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 go.
The Perfect Score. Rated PG-13. January 30th in theaters everywhere.
The first time that Black Widow and Captain America worked with each other, and that was what, 10 years before The Winter Soldier. Actually, no, the Avengers. That was 8 years ago. That was 8 years before this. But this is the perfect score, and you have, like I said, Chris Evans, Scarlett Johansson, Erica Christensen, Brian Greenberg, Leonard Naum, Darius Miles. They play 6 New Jersey high school students whose futures will be jeopardized if they fail the upcoming SAT exams. They conspire to break into a regional office of the Lawrence Township, New Jersey-based ETS, Educational Testing System, which prepares and distributes the SATs, and steal the answers to the exams so they can all get perfect scores. The film deals with themes of one's future, morality, individuality, and feelings, with a lot of similarities to other high school movies like The Breakfast Club, Dazed and Confused, which are often referenced throughout the film. The film was not a big hit when it came out, and I remember watching the film, and it's got a good premise to it, a good idea to it, but you can kind of see where the problems will come into play here. All these guys got the perfect scores. You know good and goddamn well that the SAT people would have been just like, wait a goddamn minute, something is not right here in Denmark. And, yeah. Unfortunately, it does go down that path. It doesn't really go to the levels that you think it should go to. Like, it should be a much smarter film than it is, but it's released in January. It should probably tell you right there everything you should know about how this film is going to turn out. I mean, like I said, it has a good idea to it, just bad execution. The way that it should be presented doesn't really go as you think it does. It doesn't really. It's basically the most predictable plot you could think of here. Like, if they went a different direction with it, maybe you could have found a way to make it work. But as it is, a good idea, just a blown opportunity. And a shame, because everybody in here is doing a decent job acting-wise. Everybody in here is very good acting-wise. Sometimes you'll get a good chuckle here and there, some good moments here and there, and like the references they make to like the movies I just mentioned, Breakfast Club, Dazed and Confused, they're perfect, they're serviceable in there. I just wish there was a better movie around it, because the pieces are definitely there for something good. But unfortunately, there's just not a good film there to really deliver the promise of something that could be really good out of it. So yeah, that's the perfect score. So let's go ahead and move on to our last movie here, and that is The Big Bounce.
Hello?
You steal my cell phone.
Yeah.
This is the guy.
Guess you're gonna help me close it.
Guess if I'm also going to have a career after 2004. No joke, there was a time when this woman, who's Sarah Foster, she was everywhere. She was in a couple of movies in 2004, Debs and this film, and she was also a guest star on Entourage, and they were setting her up like she's going to be the next big star. And then she never did anything of noteworthiness after this. I mean, she did a couple episodes of Crossing Jordan, CSI, she was on 90210. The biggest films she was ever involved in were Bachelor Party 2, The Last Temptation, and The Other End of the Line. So, yeah, don't tell me that after 2004 you knew who this person was, but, not to say that she was a bad actress or all, just nobody really knew what to do with her except just have her be, like, you know, the sexy piece of meat in the film. And that's exactly what she kind of is here in this movie. She's got all these big names in front of her, like Owen Wilson, Morgan Freeman, Gary Sinise, Willie Nelson, Vinnie Jones, Bebe Neuwirth, I guess is the other woman in here, Charlie Sheen, and that's pretty much it. Based off of Elmore Leonard's story, you have Jack Ryan, no relation to Alec Baldwin, Ben Affleck, Harrison Ford, Chris Pine, John Krasinski. No, this is Jack Ryan, played by Owen Wilson, a charming but mischievous kid with a history of small cons. Yeah, a kid. I think Owen Wilson was in his 40s, or is near his 30s around this point. 30s, 40s, somewhere around there, but yeah, a charming but mischievous kid. This is IMDb that's saying this, by the way. Like, that's not me saying this. I'm just reading the paragraph that they have for the synopsis here. Let me start over again. Jack Ryan, a charming but mischievous kid with a history of small cons, never nasty as he approaches life on the pleasant side, goes to Surfers Paradise, Hawaii, where they spell it Hawai here, where dodgy district judge Walter Cruz enlists him to get to real big criminals. Jack finds himself teaming up in bed and thieving business with Nancy Hayes, played by Sarah Foster, the greedy mistress of evil hotel magnate Ray Ritchie and his dumb Lieutenant Bob Rogers Jr., and a real temptress gold digger. Actually, no, I said that wrong. Nancy Hayes, I think, is Bebe Neuwirth here. No, I was right before. It was Sarah Foster. This is not the best written synopsis here. So, yeah. So anyway, Jack finds himself teaming up in bed and thieving business with Nancy Hayes, played by Sarah Foster, the greedy mistress of evil hotel magnate Ray Ritchie and his dumb Lieutenant Bob Rogers Jr., and a real temptress gold digger, but is about the only one without a hidden agenda. And this movie really has no idea what the hell it's trying to do here. This is a film that, you know, you want to know how bad this movie is? They've made 2 different versions of The Big Bounce. And Elmore Leonard, who wrote the book, has called the 1969 version the second worst movie ever made, and reserved first place for the 2004 film. I think that pretty much says everything you need to know about this movie. I mean, too good of a cast in this movie. I mean, there's a lot of great talent involved in here, but there's just nothing there that you haven't seen done before. It's like a watered down version of Ocean's 11. Like, you know, this is like Owen Wilson didn't get the chance to be in Ocean's 11, and he saw this as an opportunity to be like in an Ocean's 11 storyline, and there you go. Here it is right here, and it just doesn't work, and it just wastes its talent on board here. Nobody's really that interesting. Nobody's really that funny in this. There's not a whole lot of laughs. There's not a whole lot of surprises in there. Everything that you think could happen is going to happen in here. Just like with the perfect score, you know, and you got served too, if you want to throw that in there. Every single one of these movies has the same end result. It's too predictable. You know exactly what's going to happen, and there's nothing that's making you want to stick around for this when it's all said and done. This is a boring film that has nothing of value to it whatsoever. Even the people on the poster that I'm looking at here do not look like they want to be there. This is like one of those bad posters where they just Photoshop people's faces on there and they don't look like they've been there whatsoever. Actually, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Yeah, just look at this, man. Just look at how bad this is. In fact, you know what? I can do this better. Hold on. Alright, this is a little bit better. This is on IMP Awards, but look at how bad these people are photoshopped on here. Like, you can tell that the faces do not look like the same faces they were making when they made this poster. I think whoever was making the poster for this just took somebody's body and just plastered all these faces on here. The only person that looks like they're not looking like if their face was just plastered on here, I think maybe is Gary Sinise in the back right here. But even then, that's not really saying a whole lot about this situation here. This just looks like a bad poster. And Owen Wilson has been involved in movies with terrible posters where it just looks like they just plastered his face on there. For example, here's another Owen Wilson movie, Father Figures. Does anybody here look like they're actually taking a photo for this? It's, again, plastered faces all over a poster, and I think this one does it even this one's even worse. I mean, look at Christopher Walken right there, and, like, there's Terry Bradshaw. Look at Ving Rhames. What are these people even looking at? It's just like everybody's, like, I imagine the photographer for this was going like, okay, everybody just look at random parts of the building, and then we'll just make a poster out of it. I don't know. Fuck it. I don't know. The studio's paying me money, so why not? But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That just reminded me of how bad this poster is. But we're still about 13 years away from this gem of a movie, in quotes. But, yeah. What I was trying to say before about The Big Bounce is that, yeah, like I said, it's not a good movie. It's a really lackluster film. And it's a shame because some of Elmore Leonard's best stories became some really damn good movies. Get Shorty, Jackie Brown, Out of Sight. Here's another one that's trying to be like that and just fails miserably on so many different levels. So yeah, that is The Big Bounce. And so with that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. The next time we meet, we'll take a look at the first films of February 2004, the sequel to Barbershop, Barbershop 2, Back in Business, Kurt Russell starring in the sports drama for Disney, Miracle, about the Miracle on Ice, Jennifer Beals, a young Kristen Stewart in the family adventure Catch That Kid, and finally we have The Dreamers, the NC-17 Bernardo Bertolucci film starring Ava Green. We'll take a look at those 4 movies all on the next episode. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the plays on the next page, check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this on this channel. And stick around, because coming up on Time About the Movies Flashback, we'll be taking a look at Shoot to Kill, Action Jackson, what else here? Satisfaction, School Days, and I think that's it. I mean, I'm looking at this list for the weekend of February 12th, 1988, because that's the next week we got to look at here. And I just want you to see something here. Yeah, I can't tell which ones are usually highlighted. If the new releases are usually highlighted, I have to look to see which ones are the ones that are highlighted. So that's why I was stumbling there for a moment. So like I said, Shoot to Kill, Action Jackson, Satisfaction, and I think School Days is the last one. I think all these other ones are releases from the weeks before. Oh, and the Manchurian Candidate too. So there you go. That's why I was stumbling there for a little bit. But that's going to be coming up.